Nigeria's Inland Revenue Service has established a tax office that is designated solely for the administration of taxes for non-resident persons. This was contained in a statement signed by the Executive Chairman, FIRS, Tunde Fowler, which clarified that a non-resident person referred to a foreign company as defined in the Companies Income Tax Act, or an individual who is resident outside Nigeria and derives income or profit from Nigeria as defined in the Personal Income Tax Act. Now, the statement also said that FIRS has identified non-resident taxpayers as a very important segment of the tax-paying public for the purposes of devoting to them specialized attention. ANALYST business analyst Chika Mbonu joins me in the studio for more on this. Good to have you, Chika. So, what do you make of this development with the taxes, as it were?
Okay. What happens is that you have a lot of companies in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Let me give you an example of a hotel that I know that is run principally by a lot of expatriates.
Yeah.
So the expatriates enter into contracts, usually dollar-based, and then which is paid to their accounts abroad.
Yeah.
Remember, they're working in Nigeria.
Yeah.
However, they're also paid, living expenses locally in Nigeria here.
Yeah.
Now, the system has not been robust enough to tax the earnings of these expatriates.
Yeah.
Because a lot of time, it is lost in the accounting system of these companies.
Yeah.
And the reporting is not done transparently. So as the government is looking for every naira and kobo in the system, they're very aggressive in tax collection now. What I've done is to look for all the possible loopholes in the tax system now, in the tax net now, to make sure that everybody is brought into the net. And the taxation of non-residents is one major aspect of that.
Very good. Now, to what extent will this improve the tax compliance problem in Nigeria? It's been a recurrent one every now and then.
Yeah, the issue is that lately tax compliance has become a major issue. And then you do recall that the FIRS has even gone to the level of getting the banks in Nigeria to give them accounts that have about 1 billion naira and over turnover in a year. And put sanction on those accounts to force the owners of those accounts to come to the FRS to talk about clean up their tax status. All this is all trying to plug the loopholes in the system. The FRS chairman now was in the system before, so he understands where the loopholes are. And there's a diligent. He's under a lot of pressure. You do recall also that he was given a query towards the middle of this year because of the revenue shortfalls in his budget by the chief of staff, and that is putting pressure on the tax people to go out there to look for all the loopholes where taxes are now being diligently applied and make sure that those are brought into the tax net.
Very good. It's one thing to have tax defaulters, but when it comes to policy implementation on them, do you think FIRS has been proactive, as it were?
Well, the thing is this, that in the past, the FIRS chairman could budget 5 trillion as his collection for the year, and he makes 3 trillion. Nothing happens. Nothing happens, and the nation produces on. So that has changed now. Everybody's under a lot of pressure now for revenue collection.
True.
You do recall that even the president said when he was reading the budget for 2020 that all the revenue centers of the government, everybody is given target. And just like we do in the private sector, there'll be either monthly or quarterly budget, actual budget and actual collection comparison to make sure that those who don't meet the targets are sanctions in some particular way. So that's basically the issue. We are looking for money in every corner. And looking for all the corners in the country to make sure that the loopholes are plugged. That's actually what's happening now.
Very good. Now, there's been concern about the issue of multiple taxation every now and then. And at one point, I think IMF has also alluded to that some time ago. So are we doing anything different from what we had a few years ago? And does it also encourage our ability to think outside of the box and not depend too much on this solitary tax sources? The ease of doing business committee or initiatives that's resident in the VP's office. That's one of the things that I've been fighting. The fact that
you are taxed at the federal level, and the stakes, because you have businesses to do in the states, and the states will pounce on you too. And then you have things to do in local government, the local governments will pounce on you. And sometimes, frequently these days, you will hear some states have shut down a bank or shut down, the telecom masts, base stations, for that, because of the fact that people are looking for additional revenue. And I do recall that one that happened in, I think, Kogi State. The particular telecom company said, see, this tax is still not even legislated. We have paid similar things in the federal level. Why are we taxing us in the state level? So what you have raised is a major issue, and it will continue to be there since we don't have the kind of leadership required at the center to make sure that businesses are protected from multiple taxation.
Of course, there's also the issue of FDIs as well. They're also wary of scenarios like this. So are we sending the right signals to them?
Actually, that's why I alluded to the ease of doing business issue in the VP's office, because that's one of the things they are supposed to be fighting. We, for a nation that's clamoring for increased FDI, especially with our poultry performance last year, these are things that we should be on the front burner, and we should fight them to make sure that they don't happen.
All right. Very good, Chika. I would like your thoughts on the next story concerning the CBN, whereby the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, has also disagreed with the International Monetary Fund that foreign exchange restrictions placed on some items in the official forex market was impeding the flow of foreign direct investment in the country. Emefiele said this while briefing journalists at the IMF World Bank annual meetings in Washington, D.C. According to him, the IMF position that restriction of forex on items that could be produced locally was affecting FDIs is false. Now, Chika Mbonu is still with us. So, Chika, I'm just going to ask straightforward. Okay, so how is this? What should we take from the governor's stance on this?
The IMF has what they call the Washington Consensus, which is basically the kind of conditions that they believe that every country should use in running the economy. One of such has to do with the fact that they support trade liberations, both export and import. And so when you have the fact that, so it says that goods, import and export, should be controlled through tariffs, not outright banning of goods. And so this sits wrongly with the belief of IMF. If you juxtapose this to other things, the FX demand management system that the country has been using, and you can understand why IMF is raising this issue. That put all of them in a basket. They don't support the kind of export trade policies the IMF supports for the whole world, and to create the dynamics required for countries to trade with each other. Now, if you start banning things, it will not work. Now, however, our central bank governor, I keep saying that when he dealing with a scarce commodity, if you have a cup of rice sharing to 10 children, you must find ways of allocating it so kids will eat small, and then without dying of hunger. We have limited FX. Ordinarily, if our CBN governor had just opened the windows, opened our doors and windows for goods to start pouring in, remembering our huge appetite for imported products, by now maybe our dollar naira exchange rate would have been up to 1 to 1,000. You recall that it actually got up to 600 at the time before the policy they initiated. So these are what our CBN governor is saying, that we have peculiar situation here. We're dealing with a scarce commodity. Our export earnings are driven by the oil prices, and it's limited. So we cannot just open. We have to institute some demand management policies to limit the demand for dollars, to conserve the foreign exchange that we have, and so that we can maintain stability in our FX rates. But IMF is saying that our FX rates are artificial. You have about multiple exchange rates, which have quarreled with. We have a rate of 305. You have some 358. You have some 355. Multiple exchange rates, and those cause issues for arbitrage opportunities and leakages and inefficiencies in the system. For example, our earnings in oil are converted at 305, and somebody's being cheated. So that's basically the issue. So the CBN government is saying that, yes, people are saying that it's FDI, but the true FDI people should come into Nigeria and build their plants here. So that the products that ordinarily would have been imported from abroad.
It would have been reduced.
Would have been, build the plants here, employ Nigerians, and conserve our foreign exchange. So that is policy. It's not chasing away FDIs. But you see, you have to look at it in the total basket of FS management policies. Some of them are limiting for the FDIs.
All right, in 1 minute, in a related development, IMF also said Nigeria should focus on the growth of the economy. So what exactly are they talking about?
They thought about the fact that one is fiscal expansion, which is basically one of the countries that has one of the lowest tax to GDP ratio. I think it's about 7% for us now. They believe that it should be about 15%. Okay. Basically, as I said in the first segment of my comment, expanding the tax net, plugging leakages to ensure that tax revenues increase. The other one also is the expansion of our non-oil-based revenue. That's very critical for the economy to expand. And finally, corruption.
Yeah, and of course, this has always become a swan song, as it were. You know, you keep hearing expansion, but to a large extent, we're not seeing that, that effort, as it were. So to a large extent, hopefully something...
It will take some time.
It will take... all right, just your thoughts on how this will play out. Who should we believe with IMF and the CBN on one hand, so briefly?
Well, I mean, this is not a winner-takes-all thing. Yeah. I do believe that the CBN is right to some extent, and IMF is right to some extent. There are issues in the economy which we need to address, basically. That's what IMF is saying. And the CBN is saying also that we cannot just open our borders and let imports pour in, because we don't have effects for that. So there's a middle ground somewhere for the good of the country.
A middle ground, indeed. All right, Chika Mbonu, many thanks for your thoughts on this issue. It's good to have you.
Thank you, sir.